Police Minister Bheki Cele will deploy SAPS and the SANDF to the Cape Flats in the early hours of the morning. Cele has presented his department's budget briefing in Parliament. He said police visibility on the ground needed to be improved. Joining me live from Cape Town is our reporter Stefan Goosen. Stefan, the Cape Flats is not a new troublesome area. It's long been plagued by gangsterism and high crime levels. What prompted this move by Minister Cele now?
Well, for many months now, I would say close to a year, residents of the Cape Flats have been urging and pleading basically with the National Minister to do something in their area. Now, if you look at the figures from November last year to May this year, 2,300 and more deaths, and most of these gang-related. Now, this past weekend, I think, and this was kind of the, if you could call it the straw that broke the camel's back, 13 people killed between Philippi and Hanover, all murders, 6 women on Friday night in Philippi, and Saturday morning a man and a woman in Hanover Park, and then later on Saturday again 5 men in Philippi. So I think this is specifically, I couldn't say it was the only reason that he's decided to deploy the army, but this was definitely a kick, if I could say, in the right direction, and he has now made a decision to ask the President for the deployment of the SANDF, and that will start happening, as you said, tomorrow morning.
Now, do we know whether this is expected to be a permanent or semi-permanent deployment, and what the timeframes are connected to the armies being stationed in the Cape Flats?
The Minister did give us an idea through the National Commissioner, National Police Commissioner rather, what will happen from about 2 o'clock tomorrow morning apparently. Some of these forces will be deployed. What we have learned, and we cannot make 100% sure of this, is that first the police will be deployed and then a couple of hours later the army. But the entire deployment will take, according to the Minister, about 3 months. Until they've stabilized the situation, and then the army will be sort of on standby if anything does happen again, if the situation does get worse or doesn't change at all. The army will remain on standby for them to be called in if it is necessary again.
Stefan, we know that the police force is under-resourced. Is that why the SANDF has been called in to support their forces in the Cape Flats?
The specific answer to that question wasn't answered by either the Minister nor the Commissioner. All they are calling this is, and if you just permit me to look at my notes, is a high-density operation, including all safety forces. They have felt, obviously, that it is time to include all security forces in this, not only the police and only the SANDF, but whichever forces are available, they will be calling to the Western Cape, and they'll be deploying them to the townships, areas like Mitchell's Plain, Philippi, where these 11 murders rather, occurred over the past weekend, and also places like Nyanga, which has for long been known as the murder, or one of the murder capitals of the country.
Stefan, do we know whether the Antigang Unit is forming part of this, if we call it a task team in the Cape Flats? We saw a bit of trouble internally in that gang unit earlier this year. 6 members involved in a shootout in an operation that seems to have gone wrong. What role are they playing currently in the Cape Flats?
Well, the Minister did announce a boost in the budget for the Antigang Unit of around 120 million rand. So he did not mention them specifically, but as I said, the National Police Minister, Captain Sithole, there, saying that all security forces in the country would be included in this, what they called, him and Minister Cele, what they call the lockdown, and also a sealing off of these dangerous townships until they have them under control. So quite possibly the Anti-Gang Unit will definitely form part of this operation.
Thank you very much. That was our reporter Stefan Goosen.